Question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with regard to choice, Mr. Roma, that you spoke up of failing schools. In New Orleans, the Tulane University's Cowan Institute issued a report last month saying that, in fact, there is no choice in the charter schools in New Orleans because of the admission requirements. Specifically, Benjamin Franklin Charter School has high admission requirements. A school of which I was once principal, Warren Easton High School, has admission requirements. The New Orleans College Prep, which took over Cohen failing high school, a notorious failing high school in New Orleans, they went in and took over the failing Cohen building on Bryant Street, and New Orleans College Prep operated the first floor, and the failing Cohen students attended the third floor. Most people think that if you take over a failing school, you take over a failing students. But as Senator Mary Landrieu said to us when we asked her, if the charter school had to take over the failing students, then the charter school wouldn't be successful. So it's more about the charter school being successful than the failing students being successful. So since the admission requirements preclude choice, could we count on you to sponsor legislation that would remove all admission requirements from all charter schools?
Well, let's make sure we get our facts straight. The only selective admissions charter schools in Orleans are run by the Orleans Parish School Board, okay, not the RSD.
I disagree,
okay.
And I'll send you the documentation.
Now, the exception to that is a foreign language immersion school, which we have allowed them to have some prerequisites given the foreign language content of the curriculum. But even they have open admissions through third grade. So, and I'll be glad to, if there's a selective admission one, bring it to my attention. But let me say this, 99.5% of the charter schools run by the RSD are open enrollment. Okay, that's by law and that's by practice. The only exception to that in Orleans are the ones run by the Orleans Parish School Board that we do not run. Now, would I allow some type of selective admissions in charter schools? I would, if it was a particular mission of a school. And let me give you an example. In Lafayette, for instance, they have a traditional public school that's a school of choice. They allow 20% of selective admissions into that traditional public school based on the arts. And it's your ability to play an instrument, your ability to dance, your ability to do other specific things. They have other schools like that as well, which I support. I would support the same in a charter school environment. That if a charter school wanted to have a particular concentration, for instance, the arts, whether it be dance or music or another, I would allow some sort of selective admissions. Not complete selective admissions, but I would allow some selective admissions in order to meet that criteria. There are other traditional public schools doing that right now, and I would allow the same for a charter school.
I think, Ms. Ravage, you need to pay attention to the fact, please, that in Louisiana, until it was just mentioned, that we do not mention that Louisiana revised statutes contains language that allows charter schools to have selective admission. And until we distinguish those charter schools from the ones that don't have selective admissions, our people in public office, like Mr. Rome, would just go ahead and talk about public charter schools as if they're all open admissions. And not only do they have selective admission, but they have selective retention, because by Mr. Roma's own words, they're allowed to set their rules for expelling students. The Choice Foundation in Lafayette, public school in New Orleans that took over Lafayette, can expel students, and quote, it's in their handbooks, for sleeping in class, for disrespect to teachers, for a variety of things. So I'll say to you that in Louisiana, charter schools can have selective admission, selective retention, and can take over failing buildings without taking over failing schools.